Hello everyone, my name is Vladimir Kazarinov and this is a vlog about Russia. A bit sad news, really sad news came from Russia. Recently in jail died Alexei Navalny, and for those of you who doesn't know who is Alexei Navalny, let me briefly explain, maybe remind. He was after his death the most well-known, the most aggressive, the most intolerant opposition leader of Russia. He was the most well-known protester against Russian government and personally against Vladimir Putin. And recently he died in jail, in which he was put, about which I will tell some later. So let's have a look at short biography of Alexei Navalny, about his activities, so who he was, his ideas, his activity and all these things. Alexei Navalny was born in the year of 1976, got a degree as an attorney, and some later has some steps as a private lawyer and as a corporate lawyer, and some attempts to make a career in private sector. But he was not so lucky in this, so in the year of 2000 he started his political career based on criticism against Russian government and personally to the president. In that times it was at one time it was Vladimir Putin, in other period it was Dmitry Medvedev. So Navalny was one of the leaders of Russian opposition. Speaking of of leaders of Russian opposition, this is another interesting thing I need to mention. The thing is, we don't have like one single leader of Russian liberal opposition. In Russia we have some leaders more or less well known, more or less active, and the problem that they cannot even agree with one to each other. They always quarrel, they always fight between each other. For them, they all disagree with current policy of Russian government and personally to Vladimir Putin. They cannot just join together and unite to to act against the Russian government as one force. So which makes them really weak. In contra, Russian government is really well organized, really well is a really good hierarchy, so everybody knows his own place. So this proportion, these circumstances makes Russian opposition really weak against Russian government. So it's my opinion. So I'm getting back to Navalny, and as I mentioned, in the year of 2000 he started his political career, and he was organizer of some mass demonstrations against Russian government, which took place in previous decade, in the previous decade. So that's what took place. So you can see mass meeting in Moscow mostly, and in some other big cities like St. Petersburg, like other regional centers. So it took place. Also Navalny published another attempts of his opposition activity. He made some investigations about high-ranked Russian politics, investigations about the effects of corruption in Russia, in careers, in work, in private life of some high-ranked Russian officials. So let's check this out. For example, this is Navalny's channel, and we can see some videos showing some elements of luxury life of some high-ranked Russian officials. So as you could see, the channel was really popular, and it's still quite popular even after the death of Navalny. So we can see, let's just have a quick look on this channel, not the only source of his publications, but as one of the main of them. Some like this, so what took place in this field of his activity. Speaking of corruption, let me give my personal opinion. Of course, we have corruption in Russian government. Of course, that's obvious. That takes place. Now the level of corruption is lower than in the previous decade because the price of oil and gas decline a little bit. So there are, like less money to corrupt now. So that's the thing. The thing is, my opinion, the reason of corruption is not the single person's, not certain person's, their intention to corrupt. The reason of corruption in Russia, it could be in other countries, is, we still have really big, really a huge share of government in the whole economy. So different estimates give number of at least 60% or maybe up to 2/3 of economy still controls by government, still is what might be called as public sector. So we have a lot of unprivatized assets, properties, money, like no man's money, so to say. And we have a really huge amount of support from government to really a lot of groups of people all over the country, including pension system, including government medical system, including support of parents with little children, and all these things. But as other side of the medal, we have quite big, not quite little level of corruption. This is absolutely true. But Navalny used to mention only this backside of the medal, so which is reasonable because he was against the Russian government, which is really, reasonable, understood, I would say. So getting back to his activity. In the year of 2011, he was arrested at the first time. So we have other protests. Let's have a look. He was arrested with his first arrest, but after 15 days he was relieved, and he kept on protesting. He kept on organizing his, opposition activities. In the year of 2013, he ran for the position of mayor of Moscow. And let me remind you that Moscow is the capital city of Russia. So Navalny was officially registered as a candidate for this position, and he was really quite successful in that period of time. He took the second position in that election with 27 and something % of whole votes. So he did not become the mayor of Moscow, but he became even more well known in Russia and outside the country. And moving ahead, this was the peak of his political career, so speaking frankly. So moving next, after this mayor election, he kept on his protest activities. He organized another meetings and another protests, which from time to time took place in Russia. And in the also he was attacked. He was several times attacked by some Putin's and Russian government supporters. And on these photos, you could see the example, the result of one of these attacks. Really sad, really nothing splendid in that. So I don't support this kind of political activity. So in the year of 2018, he announced that he will run for the position of the president of Russia. But in that times he began a real threat, a real danger for Russian government. So he was not officially registered as the candidate for this presidential election, in which predictably the winner predictably was Vladimir Putin. And this is his symbol, and Navalny's symbol for that presidential campaign, for potential presidential campaign, which didn't took place in his example. So we have letter N with white color, so in Cyrillic alphabet, and at the same time with red color we can see like exclamation marks. So that's a combination of the first letter of his last name and exclamation mark. Why not, really? I think this is a good symbol. Moving next, in the year of 2020, he was poisoned, so he began even more and more dangerous for Russian government, and he was poisoned, and after that was sent to Germany for medical treatment. He recovered, he survived, and after that he moved back to Russia, after which he was finally arrested. So let's see some photos. He was finally arrested officially because some problems, I guess some tax problems, which according to official version of investigation took place in his early times entrepreneur activities, but we all know that, we all realize, it's pretty clear that he was in fact arrested because his political activity. That's pretty clear, that's obvious. So he was arrested not because he was the most aggressive, the most intolerant opponent of personally of Vladimir Putin and the Russian government. And so he was arrested, finally arrested, and after that never relieved, and after that in the 17th of January of this year 2024, he died in prison, and this is his last photos. He looks really weak on this photo, he looks really tired. He died in prison, which is really sad. So his funeral became another mass protest in Russia, so let's check this out. So that's it. That was Alexei Navalny's funeral, which became another mass protest in Russia, which was recently, the very 1st of March this year. So speaking of reaction on his death, the liberal opposition reaction is obvious. They other leaders of Russian liberal opposition claim that it was a murder. As for me, I would say, it had no sense for Russian government, personally for Putin, to kill Navalny, because he was fully neutralized. He had no threat, no danger in that times. Also, there are presidential elections upcoming, so it had no sense to do so. As for me, I don't know what really took place, and nobody knows, and probably we will never know what took place, really why Navalny died in prison. My opinion, he died because his health was really weakened by his lifestyle, by his protest activity, by these attacks, this prisoning, by really harsh life condition which he has in prison. So because of this he probably died, I think so. This is what I think. And also interesting fact, another reaction on Alexei Navalny's death, we had entire Russian stock market declined a little, so the whole market reacted on this event, so that's really interesting, really interesting reaction of this single person's death. That's it. Well, so moving next, it looks I should say something about my own opinion about Navalny, but in Russian language we have really good proverb which can be translated like about recently died say good or nothing. So I think this is a really good proverb, and if following this, I probably should not say anything about Navalny, but looks I should say something, and I will really briefly, really shortly say my opinion about his activity. As for me, his activity was based on his personal ambitions and desire, a wish to perfectly to replace Putin. And I find his activity as a form of his ideas as form of left populism. This is my opinion. From another hand, this early death of any person is always a tragedy. So I join condolences to everybody for whom Navalny's life and his ideas, his activity was meaningful. For even it was not so for me, but I realized that this is really, really a tragical event. So life goes on meanwhile, but this video is going to its end. So by this I'm saying to you, thanks for watching, and see you in next videos.